The Ancients World. Chapter 101, The Will of Humanity. I've been flying for a few hours now, and I haven't came across any cities yet. I've been flying at slower speed and enjoying the cruise, so I wouldn't cover that much ground. In terms of anyone else, I've already made tons of progress in traveling, but I have to hold myself to a higher standard since I have so many good things going for me. If every player could fly, many wouldn't be scared about the coming monsters. It's been a while since I've actually fought anything. The last time I was in combat was on the way to Zenith, and that feels like a lifetime ago. In reality, it's only been a week. Time is skewed when you're having fun. It can go fast or slow, and it's gone by slow to me. Most players are smart, and many will form parties to go out and attack monsters. I still have a few EXP boosts saved up to, but using those for the higher levels will be wise. Leveling gets harder and harder the higher you get, and having those EXP boosts will help greatly. After I find my family and get us back to our original continent, I'll be going for my mana aura. At this point I don't know how long that can take. My best bet is getting an answer as a dungeon reward. I don't know if that's all a lie from the system. It could be a trap so players die and lose levels faster. It's around 3:30 in the afternoon and the monster's arrival gets closer and closer as the hours pass. One problem is I don't know how strong these monsters will be. If so many things have changed, it's safe to assume that monsters have as well. I'd be foolish to think that monsters and combat will be the same as before. The only thing that I know about combat now is how skills work. Since I can activate my wings with a thought, it's safe to say that skills work like that too, but just in case things have changed, I'll only take on one enemy at a time. Another thing that draws my attention is the state of the NPCs, or rather my lack of knowledge about them. Are they still the same as always? Do they even exist anymore? They probably do. Why aren't they searching the new continent for answers? The war is far from reaching these lands. NPCs are as real as we are, and they must be affected by what's going on too. They have bigger things to worry about. Many see players as worthless to them. So it's unlikely a search will happen. I hope that the truth about what happened to us will be known. If Jericho and Xander are found, then many questions will be answered. I know for a fact that they are in the same situation as the rest of us. I bet many will demand blood from the founders. They are immortal just like us, and while killing them repeatedly might help, they won't stay truly dead, and in a way that's good. They may be able to fix this mess. Their actions created it after all. I look down towards the never-ending forest. My worries are not as great as others. Mostly because I'm strong and have everything I need to survive. Players will adapt and change. It's in our nature after all. I can feel hunger encroaching on my thoughts. I haven't ate something in quite some time. I lean my body forward and head towards the forest floor. Just before I hit it, I level out and do my best landing so far. Only some deep footprints this time. I toggle my wings off and they disappear into my back. It's very convenient that I can hide them. I don't have a bow and arrow, but I'm fast enough to run down some game. While animalistic and uncivilized, it's my only option right now. I draw my sword and get to hunting. As Sarah hunts for food, players all over this new continent are in panic. One of these players being Quinn, or otherwise known as Snow Princess. I don't know what I'm going to do. After the last few days I thought it couldn't get worse. Now I have to fight monsters and defend myself from painful death and resurrection. The first day I thought this was just a dream from playing too much Ancients World, but now I'm scared like I was when I was a little girl. I heard that the commander is rallying the strongest of us to set up a defensive perimeter. I'd join myself if I wasn't so damn weak. I wish I put more time in before all this shit happened. I might have been able to do something. I hear some of the guys in the meeting hall speaking. We are taking shelter while the commander tries to prepare for the coming storm. So many have already adjusted and are ready. While I just sit here and brood, I need to get my head in the right place. I stand up and make my way out of the meeting hall and towards the old convention center. That is where Commander Clarkson is rallying her troops. I heard she hates her first name and prefers Clarkson. I enter the old convention center and see all the players and parties being formed. Clarkson really knows what she is doing since she is one of the top officers for the guild called Rubik's Ruination. She is a person just below the rank of vice guild leader, and the only real leader around. If anyone knows what to do in a situation like this, it's her. I look around the convention center and find the sign-up booth. There are players working it that assign you to a team or post. I walk over to it and look into the tired and depressed eyes of the man working the booth. I want to help. That's all I can say since there isn't much more I can. Determination and thick-headed speeches about why I want to help won't make this go faster. He focuses his eyes on me and looks me up and down. He isn't giving a perverted or disgusting stare. More like inspection of my gear. Players still hate being inspected fully. So he is doing his best without using the actual inspect skill. He rubs his temple and takes a deep sigh. This guy is one of the most tired people I have ever seen. Well, you look higher level than most, so Clarkson will more than likely want to assign you somewhere personally. Go speak to her upstairs in the command room. I make my way up to the command room and can't help feeling out of place. There are a lot of hardcore players around here, and most outclass me by many levels. I'll admit that I'm intimidated by all these great players, but many are too focused on their own stuff to notice me. In a way it makes me happy. Getting unwanted attention is always something I hated. I see the commander and make my way to her. I stay quiet until she is done talking to whoever she is talking to. After she is done, she turns and meets me. I'm much shorter than she is. I was told to come speak to you about an assignment. No reason to waste time. She looks at me and nods her head slightly. Guess I passed the gear test. To most players that's all that really matters, but the players that are great, they know that personal skill is just as important. She is about to say something to me, but someone comes up behind her and whispers something into her ear. She just shakes her head in disappointment. Obviously not at me, but at the news she just got. Lily. Make sure new blood gets settled in. I got another crisis to fix. She yells across the room to whoever Lily is. She takes off at the pace an officer would. Soon I'm met with a hand on my shoulder, and a very beautiful dark-haired green-eyed beauty. She has a light complexation with subtle dusting of freckles. She is almost as pretty as Haley. I hope the sister of the meanest boy is doing all right. As well as the meanest boy, my thoughts are broken as she leads me out of the command center and into a private room. There are 3 other people in this room. These must be my new party mates. While Snow Princess and her new party learn about each other, Sarah is digging into food and having some water. While I like meat, I'm a terrible cook without an oven. I bet Mom could make something delicious from wild deer over a campfire. All I can do is cook the meat good. Well, it's going to be like this for a while, and in the end it's not so bad. A problem I am noticing is smell. Turns out our bodies now produce odor if we go too long without a shower or bath. While I've never had seriously bad body odor, many player I meet will smell bad. Be them male for female, cleaning myself in the river close by doesn't seem like a bad idea. I'm not a fan of ice-cold water though, and that water is freezing. So it's going to be a chilly bath time. A man's got to make sure he is clean. Nothing is more embarrassing than being told you stink. So when I'm done eating, I'm taking a bath. Still plenty of light out after all. Chapter 102, Last bit of free time. I unequip my gear on the side of the steady flowing river. I'm now wearing nothing. I find it both embarrassing and freeing to be naked in the middle of the woods. There are no prying eyes, so I toggle my wings on. They are a part of me too. It'll be responsible to wash them as well. I run my fingers along them as I move them in front of me. Despite them being very hard in certain situations, they are super soft when I'm relaxed. I flex them and they harden to an incredible degree. They work like a muscle. That's pretty cool. I wonder what else I can do other than what's been described to me. I straight them out and shuffle the wings to make the feathers line up like blades. I bet they are fantastic weapons. I wonder how effective they are against enemies weaker or the same strength as me. I pull up their description again to see if it implies other abilities. Everything I read only says 2% damage of the total health pool. Perhaps the weaker the enemy is, the stronger the ability gets. The only way I'll find out is if when I test it, and that's going to be a few more hours. I have delayed getting in the cold water long enough, it's time to cleanse myself. I bring my feet into the water first and it's cold, like very cold. I don't like this one bit, but I'm a hygienic man and that means I need to clean myself. I begin to walk forward and the cold climbs up my body. I stop right before I reach my family jewels. I take a deep breath and move forward, the shock makes me jolt and shiver. My wings flutter like a bird as my body does as well. Ripples in the water and small waves are created from the movement of my wings. I keep walking until I make it up to my chest, my wings are halfway submerged at this point. I stop and get used to the cold as best as I can. It's making me shiver, but it's helping the soreness of my body. I heard that ice bath treatment is good, but this is unexpected. While uncomfortable, it is a nice balance between pain and relaxation. I'm now used to this depth and I go even further in. I sink my entire body in, wings included. It's a strange feeling to have the cold grip my wings. I stay under and try to get used to the cold. Soon I come up for air and shake the water out of my jet black hair. The water is so clear and clean in Ancient's world. It's not polluted and murky, it's what Earth should have looked like. I scrub my armpits to try and clean them. I move to the dirtiest places on the body and give a thorough cleaning. Too bad I don't have any soap, won't have any for a while. After making sure my entire body is clean, I'm finally satisfied and make my way out of the river. My wings are good and wet as well, I flap them gently to help dry them. That just blows cool air all over and makes me shiver to the bone. That wasn't a good idea. I mumble to myself as I wrap my wings around me in an attempt to warm me up. It works better than standing in the open air. I see that my campfire is about to die, I toss some wood on it. I stand in front of the warm heat. This is much better than being wrapped in my damp wings. I stand in front of the fire and rotate my body for a good hour. I'm now completely dry. I get my clothes from the side of the river and put them on. While I can't say I enjoyed it, I can say it wasn't as bad as I thought it was. I'm as clean as I can get right now, and it's nice to get the smell and sweat off. I've been in this one place for a while, and my instincts are telling me to get a move on. I put out the campfire and put the extra meat into my inventory. I'll be sure to finish it later, leaving it here would be a waste. I get to a little opening in the trees and flex my wings. I take off with power and reach the clouds fast like always. I've had my wings out more and more frequently, the more I use them the better I'm getting at accepting them as a part of me. It's strange to have two new body parts after all, and the more I have them out the more I forget that I still have to turn them off. When you get so used to something sometimes you forget things like that. Well, I'll always remember to turn them off in public, but in private I'll leave them out. They are weapons as well as shields. It's safe to have them out when I'm alone, and you can never be too safe in this type of environment. I fly for several more hours at a nice speed, just enjoying the cruise. The sun has descended and the moon is out. I stare at the beautiful stars and moon. Since I'm so close, my thoughts are interrupted as an announcement happens. Worldwide announcement: monsters will start spawning in 2 hours. All players will have a countdown on their player interface. Be sure to help each other. The first few hours will be rough until you slay enough for them to leave you alone. Be sure to build defenses if you intend to stay in one place. From the sounds of it, these monsters will be attacking the players right off the bat. I wonder if the same will happen to me. I bet panic is ensuing with only 2 hours left. After these past 10 hours, all you can do is make final preparations and pray that it'll be an easy fight. I doubt it will though. Many will die and resurrect at the cathedrals and join the fight again. If I die out here, I wonder where I'll resurrect, probably at the closest cathedral. I should enjoy the time I have left till my fighting begins. Who knows how many I'll have to kill before they leave me alone. Many will migrate if they can't defend their position, and that's a smart thing. Many players desperate for levels and gear will push themselves too far. That will end up being the reason they die, and have to make up that progress. I'm sure that my leveling speed will be much faster, but that's only in places I know. All this is unfamiliar, so I won't be leveling up fast. I'll be leveling better, but it will take time to get used to which enemies are worth the time or not. I don't need a party to kill one monster either, and I can't imagine what my damage and health will be once I get my mana aura. I'll truly be unreachable by other players once I get my hands on it, and I'll be able to contend with powerful NPCs in Tier 2 and 3. Quality matters, and mine will be the best. I wonder what type of monsters will be spawning. Will they be the ones we see regularly? It really is up to the system how this will play out. I hope that it goes better than I think it will. As Sarah continues to fly in the night, the rest of the T.A.W family is trying to stay safe. Violet is trying to keep a cool head about her, and she is doing rather well. The area we showed up in isn't that populated with players. Altogether there are around 25,000 in our group. There are other groups in the city, but there aren't enough supplies for one giant group. So the self-elected leaders decided to divide the people into groups of 25,000 and have us set up in different strategic locations in the city. They made sure each group was balanced with enough strong fighters, so everyone has a fair chance. I'll be sure that Marcus isn't close to the fighting. I don't want him experiencing death yet. It would be too much for him. I tell my husband what I plan to do. Marcus is one of the youngest kids left. I have talked to many mothers and fathers who have lost their babies and toddlers after everything that's happened. Many tried to kill themselves, but they just end up coming back to life. Talk about a hell. I know I shouldn't think like this. If my kids were dead, I'd end my own life. There would be no reason left to live. I couldn't imagine their pain right now. That's perfect, honey. Haley and I will be support for the front lines. Be sure to stay high in the skyscrapers in case the parameter is broken. My husband is a strong man, and I have complete trust in him. I kiss the top of my son's head as I carry him to the skyscraper. He is getting so big. He is almost too big to carry anymore. All I can do is be ready for the worst, and I'll do everything in my power to make sure no harm comes to him. Chapter 103, A Monster Eye. There is only a few minutes left till the fighting starts. Now would be a good time to land. I don't see any open clearings nearby for easy combat. I can't have everything I want. I dive towards the ground and level out before hitting the ground. I flap my wings in a way to slow me down and I come to a gentle stop. It's nice to see progress, and my flying abilities are getting better. I move my wings into an offensive look, stretched out and sharp looking. They still retain their powerful look despite being stretched just a little. I'll be able to test my theory about whether or not my wings do more than 2% damage to the total health pool with weaker or same leveled creatures. I look at the countdown one last time and see less than 30 seconds left. Worldwide announcement, I wish all players the best of luck. Try your hardest. I'll be keeping track of the kill count per player and who does the best among you. People who kill the most will receive special rewards. So be sure to rack up those kills while you can. A final announcement rings out and gives a surprise to everyone. The more greedy ones will kill steal and make it harder for the rest. It was a good idea to hide this information till now. It'll be harder for the greedy ones to plan and make things difficult. Only a few more seconds till the fighting starts all over this new land, and I will admit that I'm excited. It's been so long since I've gotten to fight. Well, it really hasn't. It just feels that way, and that happens to everyone. My thoughts are interrupted as the countdown runs out, and I'm met with monsters. Screech! Multiple monsters are screaming and making a bunch of noise as they rush at me from the darkness. I draw my blade and take a breath. This is going to be fun. I'm instantly surrounded by 10 or more monsters leaping from the darkness of the woods. I don't have any time to inspect them and see what they are. They don't look familiar to me, which means these monsters are exclusive to whatever is happening. At least that's what I think. They are closing in fast as well. I get into my fighting form and flex my wings to make them hard. Now it's time to test out how much more effective I'm at in combat. They are only a few feet out now, and I use this time to attack. I spin my body hard as they leap at me. I use my wings as giant swords. I cleave multiple monsters into pieces with that single move. Now that I've thinned out some of the closest ones, I use my sword to do some heavy damage. These monsters are so weak I don't even need to activate my best skills. Slash is doing just fine. There are too many notifications about damage to really focus on the numerical information. I'll look at them after I'm done fighting. I clear out the 10 or more monsters that have just attacked me faster than I would have been able to do without my wings. I almost relax, but more screams and screeches surround me as an onslaught of monsters appear. I don't know how many there are, or how many I'm going to have to kill. If all players are dealing with something like this, all I can do is hope that my family is safe. The newly appeared horde is quickly on top of me. No more time to think about my family. There is an uncountable number now. I use my wings and blade to kill as many as I can as fast as I can. The bodies of the monsters are quickly piling up. I bring 100% of my attention to the battle since I'm being swarmed. Monster after monster tries to get close to land a single attack, but my wings and sword are making easy work of them. They all stop of a second and a circle of about 15 feet or more has formed around me. I look at them in the brief time that I have. I can see that these monsters go on for miles, and they are many different kinds. Some look like animals that have turned into monsters, and others look like unholy abominations from your worst nightmares. I don't know why so many are only attacking me. If this is for one person, I'm sure the players are struggling right now. They all look wary to continue attacking, and I take some time to clean the blood from my eyes to see better. I'm drenched in monster blood and guts. My golden wings are now dripping with lines of crimson. I'm going to have to take another bath after this, and that makes me a little mad. They all start shifting in a circle, and then the ones right outside of the 15-foot circle jump at me. I quickly dismember any that get close enough. The piles of the bodies is making it hard to move now. I jump up and land in a new spot. I carve my way through monsters with my wings and weapon as I run through the woods. I look behind me and monsters are already filling the path that I made. It's like there is no end to them. I keep running and clearing monsters for several minutes. I finally reach the end of the horde and begin to run from the massive numbers. If I don't want to die, I'll need to find a place where I can kill all of these monsters. The piling of bodies makes it hard to stay in one spot. I can feel the ground trembling as I run through the woods. They are hot on my tail. I would fly away, but I don't want to miss this chance to earn EXP and get used to fighting with my wings. I make it to a nice opening in the trees and see a field. This will do fine. I make it to the center and look in the direction I came. Monsters swarm out of the tree line and rush towards me. An amount I don't want to count, it's already leaping towards me. I just get into that zone I use for these situations and slaughter one after another. I don't know how much time has passed or how many I've killed, but the horde has thinned out by at least 90%. I don't know how many I've killed, but it's a lot. I find myself taking deep breaths and on one knee. It's much more exhausting than I thought it would be. I've never been this tired except for that time I invaded that orc camp. Many of the remaining monsters run back into the woods. I look around me and see massive piles of limbs and corpses. I'm covered head to toe in blood. Only very small parts of my wings are showing any gold. The stain of crimson is all over. If games didn't numb that part of me, I would be puking right now. Looking at the internal organs all around me makes me a little queasy though. Those are things that you aren't supposed to see in large volumes like this. I lay on my back and just rest. This was a long and hard-fought battle. As I'm relaxing on the ground, I feel it rumble ever so slightly. I try and convince myself more aren't coming, but I know in my heart this isn't over yet. The rumbling of the ground gets louder and harder. I stand up and try to loosen up. I look over towards the tree line and see monsters' heads above them. Looks like they are bringing the big guns this time. Soon I'm getting swarmed again, and I continue to kill and kill. After a couple minutes the bigger ones start to get here. and I can tell these guys are going to be a pain in my ass. As Sarah relentlessly battles alone, players are banding together and holding the monsters off. One such man is Sir Ericsson, leading the assault with his makeshift group. They never stop coming. If the lower-leveled players were on the front lines, then they would have been slaughtered. My strategies are working fine for now, but my fighters are getting tired. There aren't that many players with healing abilities either. This has become a battle of attrition and we are losing. For every player, there is one monster of equal strength. This causes problems in many ways, the biggest being when the higher-leveled players finally run out of gas. The lower-leveled players will have to deal with the stronger monsters. The system is playing this little test well, that's what I think at least. Testing which players to look out for and reward, and seeing which ones have no motivation for fighting and getting better. This is going to be a long battle and night, I just hope we don't lose to many levels. Chapter 104, A Monster 2. They never stop coming, even when I kill the big ones they just retreat and come back with more. I've been at this for hours now, and if this continues the way it has I'll die. I'm not a perfect fighter and I've taken damage and used my strongest skills, but they keep coming back stronger. I'm out of time and energy, I can't continue on like this. There is only so much I can do by myself, and I'm at my limit. They retreated a few minutes ago, and they haven't returned yet. I know it's only a matter of time, I don't even have the energy to look at how low my health has gotten. My whole body feels like jelly every time I take a breath, and when I try to move it feels like fire and knots in my muscles. I'm on my hands and knees trying to catch my breath, but I can already feel the ground rumbling. I look up from the red-stained grass, I see a horde bigger than anything before it. A storm has moved over the area and is washing away the blood. I stand up once again and let the drops hit my face. I'm sure players are dying in troves if this is how it's going for them. This isn't something I've ever experienced or heard of in Ancient's world. The monsters are charging at me fast, but they haven't reached me yet. The only indication of their existence is the evil glow of their eyes and the lightning flashes that ignite the area. Rah! If you want to charge to your death so relentlessly, I won't stop you. I'm taking as many as I can with me. I yell into the stormy night as the downpour gets worse. I focus on the coming enemies and they are only seconds away now. I flex my wings and charge at them as well. I lose myself in this intense battle, I just cut and attack with all I have left. My wings are cutting the weaker ones to pieces, and sending the stronger ones flying. If I'm not supposed to win against such odds, then fine, there are moments in games you have to lose. I refuse to let this be my first death. I will not die to a bunch of weak mobs. If I'm to die in a fight, it will be fighting a boss. However, the gamer in me refuses to die to a bunch of enemies of little strength. Being overwhelmed isn't going to be my first death in this new life. I grip my sword harder as the painful stress on my body continues to howl out. In times of great pain and tribulation, what separates the weak and strong is how far you are willing to push yourself, no matter the difficulty challenge. *********************************************************************** The monster horde screams in defiance of my proclamation, lighting flashes every couple of seconds and adds to the chaos. Well, are all in. The rain gets so hard and heavy that I can barely see anymore, but I don't stop my onslaught to counter theirs. I use the light from their eyes to find them, and the light from the lighting to see how many I have left. Every time the flashes of lightning happen, I can see the horde clogging up the trees. It truly looks endless. I lose track of time and feeling all over my body, but I continue. I fight and fight. The bodies and flowing blood make it look like an apocalypse. After several hours I kill the last one of this horde, and as soon as its head rolls I fall to the ground. My body won't move anymore, I can't feel my fingers. The only thing that doesn't feel damaged is my wings, they made this fight possible. The rain continues to fall on my exhausted body, and my blood-stained clothes and wings wash once again. I don't know how much time has passed, all I know is that I've been fighting for hours. The thunderous sky roars as the heavy downpour continues. I feel the weight of my eyes, and I can feel the sleep coming. I'm brought back from the edge of sleep as I feel the ground rumble, but this time it isn't continuous. It's steady footsteps of a single being, a giant one. I move my head and look around. I see the form of a behemoth from the lightning flashes. It's a creature I've never seen before, a true monstrosity from what I can make out. I will my body to move and I get on my stomach, I shift my limbs under me and push myself up to my knees. I watch the creature approach and slowly make its way here. I might not be able to kill it. I'll die trying though, I can barely move my body. I use my sword to lift myself up and stand on my feet. When I do, the storm gets even harder. The creature is maybe a minute out, so that gives me a minute to rest on my feet. Now is the true test, I guess, all those enemies just to get me at my weakest. I killed thousands in this battle, how many thousands is impossible to know. I use these last free minutes to inspect the coming monster. Beast of Relentlessness LVL.100 Tier 2, Avatar. 10,000/10,000,000 HP. Description: a demon crafted by hand from the sin of wrath. Although this is a tough enemy, in the end it's just an avatar of the beast. The real demon Beast of Relentlessness is locked away in the deepest parts of the underworld. This is the first time in centuries an avatar from a powerful demon has stepped foot on Gaia. I have already unwisely used my strongest skills, most are still on cooldown except for Slash. I still have many hours till my best ones are ready, so that leaves me only one option. I have to chip away its health with my sword and wings. I don't know if I can really do this, my body is about to fail and this is going to be a long fight. Just have this one last fight and I can finally rest, but I need to see the end of this. I spread out my wings ready to fight as I hear it enter the clearing and step on the countless bodies. The crunching of bones fills the air, and my hair stands up on edge. I launch from my spot and go the max speed of 60 miles per hour while in combat. My mind goes numb as I lose myself in the lull of a final battle to determine my success in this great battle. I dodge and weave attack after attack while flying, and continue to slice at the beast as much as I can. After so many attacks from my wings I can see that it's getting low on health, but I'm not going to waste time looking. I fly high into the stormy clouds as lightning flashes behind me. I take a fast dive towards the creature and before I make contact with its head I spin my body and use my wings as a screw. I hit him right between the eyes and burst through the back of his skull. I land hard and can feel pain shoot through me. I watch as the beast falls to the ground dead. I lose consciousness fast. I wonder how much health I have left. Those are my final thoughts as I sleep. While Sarah passes out into sleep, an announcement rings out. Worldwide announcement: the monster's onslaught will cease. The commander of the forces has been defeated. All players will get access to the leaderboard for individual kills. The top 10 will receive custom rewards of legacy quality or lower. Worldwide announcement: the avatar of the demon Beast of Relentlessness been defeated by the son of Archangel Michael. All players will now have access to dungeons and hunting grounds earlier than intended since the hidden boss has been defeated. Here's some advice for all you players. Get the teleportation grid up and running fast. Worldwide announcement: both the Church of Light and the Church of the Dark Ones have drastically increased their rewards for any information regarding the son of Archangel Michael. Sarah is so exhausted he is sleeping in the middle of a storm. Other players are having their own reactions. One of these people being Wilted Rose. She looks at the leaderboard for individual kills. This is absolutely insane. There is no way I would believe this if I heard or seen this from anything other than the system. Looking at the top 10, the best are rather close, except for number 1. The Divine class holder took out 106,000 enemies on the dot all by himself, including the boss. Whoever he is, it's safe to say that anyone else will fail to match a will as great as his. Much will be happening in the coming days, and that hint about a teleportation grid is nice. I'm sure that the top 10 are already making their rewards, or asking for them. Makes you wonder what the son will pick when he already has something so great. Chapter 105, A Monster 3. Many of the best players are looking at the leaderboard in disbelief. a lot of players died trying to kill as many as they could. In the end it doesn't hold a candle to the 106,000 that the sun took out all by himself. Many of the leaders and powerful parties are now more interested than ever before. This solidifies the power that a divine class wielder has, and it's all the more reason to try and find the sun. While all this is happening, many players with high kills are getting fantastic rewards, while not as great as what the top 10 get. It's still something that will help in the end. Many of the top 10 are familiar classes or names. T.A.W being one of them, he ranks second on the leaderboard. Of course the name everyone sees is his class Abyss Walker. Many are impressed with the kill count that T.A.W has as well, but the difference in kill count shows the gap in power between a divine class and a legendary class. T.A.W got a whopping 55,358 individual kills, and that is a huge gap between Sarah, third place, and wielder of the Archer Legacy class has 21,644 kills. The name of the class is called Hunter of Artemis. Many don't know this is in fact Wilted Rose. As conversations and regrouping begins, a storm that is ravaging a forest continues. Sarah is sound asleep as the storm continues its downpour, and lightning lights the sky. Angelus decides to visit the sleeping warrior, now that his fight is over. The new body of Angelus materializes and many simpletons would kneel to her beauty. Her looks could make the prettiest of flowers shame to bloom in front of her. She walks up to the sleeping angel and looks at him with calculation. Now that I have him in front of me, I can finally do what I always wanted to try. I reach out my hand and play with his dark hair. I grab some of his cheek and pull on it. He is the one I've been watching this entire time. He didn't disappoint in his special test either. If he failed, I was going to severely punish him. You weren't supposed to win this battle. Yet you did anyway, even after I did all I was allowed to do to weaken you. A true example of human will. I don't know how long he is going to be asleep, but leaving him here in the middle of this storm doesn't seem fitting. Not after he works so hard. I snap my fingers and the storm instantly dissipates. I look around and see the carnage he laid upon his enemies. If others see this, they would claim him monster, not angel. I've already spent too much time here, so I must be on my way. I have other things to work on. His health is low and his body is broken in many places. He'll heal though. He has proven that it takes much to kill him. I would heal him and recover his injuries, but I feel he needs to learn how his new body works. Pain will be a sensation that he'll have to get used to, and this is a great start. I snap my fingers and I'm instantly back in my personal space. Let's look at the requests of the top 10. I scan the custom requests fast and easily, and I make them in an instant and send them to their new owners. However, this guild leader Wilted Rose has asked for something I can't give her. She'll be upset, but I'm sure that she'll get over it fast. She is a smart girl. As Angelus tends to the needs of the players, Wilted Rose has just received a strange response from the system. I figured that if I asked I'd get an answer, but if his identity is being kept in this manner, I can say for certain that he is getting special treatment. His class permits it after all, but still to have this kind of protection is ridiculous. All I asked was the true identity of the sun, and now I'm having to find a different reward to think of. The next best thing would be something that my guild will need once we are reunited, so I want a guild token. I ask for the reward and one instantly appears in my inventory. This will prove to be a tremendous help once we are off this continent and back to the continent my guild is from. As Wilted Rose makes plans, the hours pass fast and noon soon arrives, shining sunlight and heat onto Sarah. I feel a nice warmth envelop me, and I can feel the pounding of injuries all over my body. I've never been in this much pain in my entire life. Multiple bones are broken and I have many wounds that have already healed over. My body probably won't keep scars, but I don't know for sure. I'm not sure I can even move right now, and whenever I try my body screams. Instead of trying to move, I look at my surroundings. I see a whole mess of gore. Talk about a battle that they wouldn't show on movies or TV. I open my map and see that most of the area is littered with bodies, but I notice a little area with water. I zoom in on the map with a mental command and it says it's a hot spring. If I could move my body I would go there and heal, at least to see if it helps me heal. A nice hot shower or bath after a hard day is always a nice thing, why can't it help in this situation? I try and move my wings, I get them to work just fine. They are the only things on my body that aren't broken or cut. I use them to lift my lifeless body up and I use them to walk towards the hot spring. After a couple minutes I make it to the little slice of hot water in the middle of nowhere, I won't question why it's here. I'm just glad that it is. I struggle to undress myself and once fully unclothed I use my wings to bring me closer to the hot spring. I dip my foot in and enjoy the heat, it's the perfect kind of hot. Add that to the cool shade the trees are providing and you got a nice spot. I submerge my whole body, wings included. At first it stings a little. I get used to it after a couple seconds and take a deep sigh. I don't know how long it will take my body to heal, but this is sure to help. I notice I have some notifications, and not a single one is about a level up. This must have been the same as the orc camp when I didn't get EXP for killing the orcs. Really sucks cause I killed lots of monsters, don't know how many though. I look up through the cracks in the leaves and take a content sigh. While I'm still in massive pain I'm much happier. I wonder how many players died during these huge fights. If they faced the same number as me then I don't think they lasted long. The only reason I'm here is because of my powerful skills and class, so I shouldn't think like that. I open the first notification with a mental command and start reading it. Congratulations! You have placed first on the individual kills leaderboard. You can have a custom item or request from the system of legacy quality or lower. You only have one use. So don't waste it. That is a great reward. I'm sure many would get a great weapon or class, but I know exactly what I'm asking for. If I can get the location of my family then the less dungeon diving I have to do. I enter my request and I don't get a response right away, I wait for a little longer and now I'm suspicious of what's going on. If it doesn't tell me I'm going to be so mad, this is a great chance to meet up with my family. I soon get a response and my ease is lifted, the system sure does act strange now. You will find your family 2,000 miles west of here, I marked the location on your map. When you get close enough to the area, the marker will appear. I wouldn't have found it for a long time, 2,000 miles is a lot of distance. I'm in no condition to travel as well. So for now I'll need to focus on healing my damaged body. I have some other notifications I can read, but I brush them away with a thought and sink my body into the hot spring. I go all the way to just below my nose so I can breathe. I close my eyes and find myself drifting off to sleep. Hopefully Mom and Dad are doing all right, I know they will do everything to protect Haley and Marcus. I lose consciousness and fall into a deep sleep. Chapter 106, Everyone is healing. I struggle to open my eyes and I recognize that I'm still submerged in the hot spring. The sun is still high in the sky, I've been in here for a few hours so getting out is a must. My body still hurts, but I can actually move some of my limbs now. I try and lift my body out of the water, but I'm still too injured to do it on my own. I use my wings to bring me out, and the cool air makes me shiver. I look at my skin and see that I'm good and pruny. I think taking some time to heal my broken body is the only option I have. I wonder if anyone else is going through the same thing I am. I bet players are starting to get used to the idea of this world. However, this new pain and injury system is going to be a hard time for everyone. There is no doubt many players are hating this new system, but you got to do what you got to do. I hope many of the young kids are not getting hurt. Despite the age restriction parents buy games. I think that's perfectly fine, nobody could have predicted that we would get sucked into the game. So you can't really blame them, I can't imagine what parents who lost a child are going through. I use my wings to carry me to my clothes. They are still soaked in blood, while not as bad as earlier it is unwanted. I don't even know how to get blood out of clothes, one of the many things I never learned how to do. I guess I have blood-soaked clothes for now, the leather look of the armor seems to work as leather. This look is just a copy and paste over the hardened tree sap armor, so I wonder why it's soaking up blood. Another thing that has changed, I suppose, I go into the player interface and see that the copy and paste system no longer works. That means I have leather armor that is actually hardened tree sap that's been transformed. That doesn't sound right. If anything, that sounds wrong. If anything, it's super strong leather armor now, but when I inspect it, it still says hardened tree sap. This is very strange, perhaps a glitch. No, the system is too sophisticated for that. It wouldn't let something like this exist, unless it had no choice. These are all questions I don't have answers to, so no point in asking them. I would put my clothes back on and try to head west to find my parents, but my body can't handle that. My wings could no problem, but I risk more injury if I try. So I bring myself closer to the ground with my wings and lean my body against a tree that is close by. As Sarah takes time to heal his damaged body, many players are doing the same as him. The ones that didn't die and resurrect are being treated by people with healing abilities. One of these men being T.A.W. My body is in so much pain, and all I can do is lay here and try to heal. It may seem stupid to say this, but perhaps dying and getting a new body is better, but the rumors about the resurrection process are getting worse. I look over to my wife as she tends to Haley. My daughter got hurt pretty bad. We are in a room located in one of the several skyscrapers. Violet has done an excellent job making this feel like a home. I look over to my youngest and see the worry on his face. I'm glad he didn't have to go through anything of this. My wife makes her way over to me and I'm enraptured by her beauty like always. She has always been the killer in terms of looks. While I'm handsome, I really lucked out with her. I notice that her skin is more vibrant, and her looks have started returning to the days of our youth. It's strange, it's like she is regressing in age. Now that I think about it, most of the older players have been going through it too. I have seen that some of the people in their 50s and 60s are becoming younger by the day. Many are concerned about what's happening. All of the younger players are not experiencing the same things. By the rumors Violet has told me, anyone over 25 is gaining their youth back, and this is both scary and cool. I don't know what it means, but it helps with the idea of getting older and I'm all for that. Honey, I just want to say you look stunning. It reminds me of the times before all the kids. We have both been aging quite well, haven't we? I end my compliment with a joke. I know that's the first time anyone has said that. Aging is a first here. My wife smiles at me, but it holds worry. I'm about to ask her what's wrong, but she brings her finger up to my lips and silences me. I know you like the idea of us getting younger, but we don't know what this can cause. Not to mention we still have no idea where Sarah is, and with both you and Haley out of commission we can't search. She has been so worried about all of us. I know that we'll find Sarah eventually. It might take a much longer time than she would like, and there isn't anything I can say to make that better. Just focus on getting better. We have to take one step at a time from now on. This place is much more dangerous than anyone originally thought. I'll change your bandages in a couple hours. She gets up and walks over to our daughter. Haley is in the same condition as me. She is a tough girl and she has made me proud. She can feel my gaze on the side of her head and she turns towards me. You know staring isn't going to get me to heal faster, and you're making it hard to rest with that stupid smile on your face. Ouch, that's my daughter all right. She has much of her grandmother in her. When she passed the family really fell apart. I just sigh and look back up towards the ceiling as my two favorite ladies talk. As I'm thinking I feel a little hand grasp mine. I look down and see my son. He's never seen me so weak before, and it hurts my pride as a father he has to. I move my arm as best I can and place my hand on his head. I wonder what Marcus is thinking right now. We have been so busy with other things I haven't asked him how he's doing. This has surely affected him. Many of his friends are probably dead. I shudder to think he knows that. How are you doing, kiddo? Your mom and I have been so busy that we have barely checked in on you. If you have anything you want to talk about or ask, now is a good time, we aren't going anywhere for a while. I chuckle as I say that last part. This is a great opportunity for our family to spend some time together. I wish we could have been brought together under different circumstances. However, making the best out of a bad situation is what Violet and I have done for many years. I look towards my wife and she is listening intently, making sure her baby is okay. Marcus hesitates to ask me something. I won't force him to talk if he doesn't want to. Just making sure that he knows I'm here is good. How long are we going to be stuck here, Daddy? From what I heard, there is no way home and we are stuck here now. If it's as big as they say, how will we find Sarah? I'm about to give an answer, but before I can, Violet swoops him up in her arms and kisses his forehead a few times. Looks like Mom is going to make sure I don't say anything stupid. Hurts that she thinks I'll damage him like that. She sees the hurt look on my face and realizes what she did. She quickly brings him over and sits down on the makeshift bed while holding him. I'm glad that she caught on to what she did. I look at my son and think about my words carefully. I don't want him scared to live and enjoy life. Marcus, I don't want you thinking that you're a prisoner now that we are all stuck here. You can go and play, as well as train your magic. We are going to be here for a long time, and you having fun is important. Do you think you can do that for me? He gently nods his head yes. I'm happy that I could speak to him. He's intelligent like Sarah, just like he was when he was young. It fills me with pride that I have such amazing sons. I know that Marcus will grow up to be a good man just like Sarah. We all continue talking and having fun. It's nice to get my mind off the pain for a while. I wonder if Sarah is in the same condition as us. Chapter 107, Healed Up. It's been several hours since I've gotten out of the hot spring. My body isn't all pruny anymore, my limbs are moving without any problems. Most of my injuries have healed. While we still have to deal with injuries, we also get an accelerated healing rate. Well, I do at least. I don't know about anyone else. I stand up and stretch my limbs out. I test every part of my body to make sure nothing is out of place. I still have lots of notifications to read, and my disappointment about no level ups is great. I have a feeling I'm the only one that didn't get a level up as well, and while that is unfair for all the fighting I just did, it makes sense. If I got EXP for all those kills, I'd be in the 80s or 90s, and that isn't something the system wants. If I get too strong too fast, I'll hit a wall, and that will be tier up quests. If a player has too many tier up quests at once, you can consider your time gone. It'll take months traveling all over finishing tier up quests. Even with my wings, that will still take time. Time is precious to players, and grinding levels is an indication of growth. If that growth stops, then falling behind is a guarantee. Out of the many notifications, most are about reputation boost with certain groups. Killing that avatar made a lot of NPCs want to get into contact with me, and with both the Church of Light and the Church of Dark ones constantly after me, I'll need to face them eventually. Question is, do I completely hide my identity and only show my title to them, or reveal everything? I can get a lot of help from the Church, but I have a strong feeling they will never leave me alone. With that in mind, I'll hold off for a while. When I'm a higher level and tier than I am now, I'll reveal myself. I may change my mind though. It really depends on how my life unfolds from this point on. Speaking of moving on, nothing important in the notifications, and now that I know where my family is, I can meet up with them. I walk towards the same clearing I had my battle and prepare to leave, but I notice that the avatar I fought is glowing. That means it's dropped an item. I walk over to it and loot it. What I get is something I can use. My passive perk Holy Willow Tree's Savior will synergize with this perfectly. Purified blood of a demonic avatar. Description: normally you need to have a high-leveled priest to purify such a corrupted thing, but your angel blood circumvents that. Now you can drink this and get a permanent 50% to regenerative properties. I drink as instantly and my body loses its echoes of soreness. While I was at full health, my body still needed to heal. This gives a boost to my body's regenerative properties instead of health, so it works differently than Holy Willow Tree's savior. Looks like I can still be surprised by things, and now that I'm all better I'll be able to fly without any problems. I walk away from the body of the avatar and look around one last time. This is a place I'll never want to come back to. It's already starting to reek. I flex my wings and take off. I go above the clouds and level out. I look at my map and use the compass it has to find out which direction is west. I correct my direction and start my journey to my family. 2,000 miles would have been a long time if I didn't have my wings. At full speed it shouldn't take longer than a day. I burst forth at full speed and enjoy the wind. An annoyance is my chest piece since it's all crusted from the blood. My leggings aren't so bad. I unequip my chest piece and enjoy the non-chafing. I am traveling at top speed right now. I flap my wings every minute or so to keep from slowing down. I look at the clouds below me and in the gaps between them I can see the forest floor passing by fast. Traveling is going to the easiest thing now. A big challenge players face is the distance between places. I don't have to deal with that anymore, and that is a nice feeling. From the notifications I read players will be able to set up a teleportation system on this continent, and use it to get back to the original ones they came from. That means one of two things. First is the requirements for travel have been lowered for the players, and the more likely second option is a one-time use to get back to the continent we come from. This means players won't be stuck here for long, but I bet the dungeons play a part in setting it up. The game wouldn't make it easy for the players to get back, and the longer we stay here the longer we are wasting time. For all I know players still have to head to our capital cities to tier up, and the players can't do that from here. These are things that the leaders of this situation will focus on first, and that is a problem in itself. I'm tempted to try and help, but I risk a lot doing so. If I'm to help it needs to be in low-impact ways, like get a piece from this dungeon or from that boss. Then have someone else turn it in. I want to keep my anonymity. We will have to work together for the first time ever, players cooperating on a massive scale to get back to their continents. It seems more than far-fetched. Many will sit back and wait till the hard work is finished. I hope that the system finds a way to motivate the lazy ones. It's not something other players can do. As Sarah flies to meet up with his family, a conversation between the church and the strike team is happening. The one leading this conversation is the Pope, and to say that plans have changed is an understatement. Why would the summoning ritual just stop? For what reason would this occur? I don't know why the summoning has stopped, but it has. I hope that all of you return back to safety, but the decision is up to you, Lucy. I speak to the strike group as they have looks of confusion like the rest of us. Whatever has happened isn't random. I'm concerned greatly as to why this has occurred. If you do decide to continue the strike, make sure that any intel you come across be sent to the church. We will share it with the rest of the leaders. In the meantime, I have other things to discuss with the council. I hope to hear from you guys soon. The strike force nods their heads and I turn off the hologram. I have a bad feeling about what's to happen. This move makes no sense. I sit down in my chair as holograms fill the room. All of them are various leaders. I begin to speak as soon as everyone is done arriving. As you have heard, the summoning ritual has stopped. We don't know why this has happened. The strike team is still in enemy territory and Saintess Lucy is using her own discretion whether to continue with the mission or not. Many whisper to one another, and now that the report is confirmed, many are confused along with the church. As this meeting continues, Saintess Lucy is speaking with the strike team. She wants their opinions if they should continue this mission as well. I look at the makeshift group of powerful fighters. Many are wondering the same thing I am. While I have come to know these people better, it weighs heavy on my heart thinking I have to risk their safety. I want to know what you guys think about continuing on from here. I don't want to risk your lives if there is no benefit. There are many powerful fighters here that can help the war at a different point. I look at the group and see they are all making personal decisions. I look to the more energetic people in our group. Creature Man and Ghost Zero are having a conversation about their point of view. I have seen the way that Ghost Zero looks at me. a puppy is more accurate to the look. I've had men crush on me before, but not like this. The group tells me their opinions one by one, and they have all agreed to continue with the mission. This may be a bad choice, but if we stick to the formation then we will have no problems dealing with any enemies. I'm going to inform the Pope, get ready to move. We'll leave in time, be on guard at all times. I dismiss the group and turn the hollow communicator back on, and see that the Pope is in the middle of the meeting. He makes it so everyone can hear me. We have decided to continue with the mission, even if the ritual has been cancelled. We want to know anything we can about the enemy. Many nod their heads at my words. I'm glad that they won't protest this. Alex on the other hand just rubs his temple and sighs. I have a feeling he'll protest. Chapter 108, The Ritual I. As the Saintess, it's my job and life to make sure the forces of evil stay at bay, and I intend to do just that. The strike team is getting ready to move out in a few minutes. We all know our roles and will play them accordingly. The Pope was very adamant on us just leaving, but there is valuable information to be had. If we leave now we are throwing away an opportunity to get an advantage. Many would call this mission unnecessary. They are the ones who are safe from attack at the moment, and with also Magon the monsters have a foothold for more attacks. If it were a different enemy I'm sure that we could swiftly deal with this, but this is a war we haven't seen for centuries. I hate to say it, but we are slowly losing a balance with this war. We haven't even launched an attack yet. I look over to the small group talking and I can tell that this mission will go smoothly. These are some of the strongest people willing to help. The mages asked for prices we couldn't afford, so we got the best available. A girl with light brown hair and hazel eyes is preparing some potions. She is the only mage that was willing to help for a fair price. Her name is Jasmine Remingfield, and she is a noble. She is a very shy and cute girl. Communication isn't her strong suit. She is very sweet too. Some of the men in our group have taken a liking to her. She has soft features and a light complexing, and some flattering moles here and there as well. Most female noble children become mercenaries or adventurers so they can avoid political marriages. I walk up to the girl and see that she is making powerful healing potions. She looks up at me in apprehension. No need to be so nervous, Jasmine. I may be the Saintess. We are comrades first though, so I think we should get better acquainted since we are going into battle together. I'll start first. Aside from earlier introductions, my hobbies are fishing, fighting, and helping the weak. I open up to the girl to try and make this situation easier on her. She is doing a good job of keeping her cool. I know she is a fan of mine. Despite how much I'm revered by others, I prefer to be treated like a normal person. She looks ready to start talking, but stops as we hear shouting between some of the other strike group members. I just sigh and place my armored hand on top of her head. We'll get a chance to talk next time, I'm sure of it. I make my way to the arguments that are happening and I see Creature Man holding his friend Ghost Zero back. How dare you speak of her in such a way? I don't know what's going on, but I'm sure it's just two guys competing somehow. Instead of interfering, I just stand and watch the little fight unfold. Ghost Zero breaks from the grasp of his friend and lands a solid strike on the jaw of our best archer. You're lucky that I can't kill you. If she heard you say that, she would flay you alive. Must be about me. While I think it's sweet that he defends me, I don't need someone protecting me. I'm the strongest person here. I walk over to the group and clear my throat. They turn to me and all stand at attention. The two in a fight are red in the face. I hope this was all just roughhousing. We don't need disunity within the group so close to the departure time. I suggest you all get ready to move out. We are leaving in 10 minutes. I turn to leave and get back to my business. I wonder why men act like that when it comes to women. Something I'll never understand. Perhaps it's passion. Enough dwelling on this. I have to speak to our scout party before we move out. I make my way across the camp to the scout's tent and politely announce myself. It's Saintess Lucy. I was hoping to talk to you guys about what you found. I hear a come in and I enter. It's twin sisters. They both hold epic scout classes, it's nice to have them on our side. They are getting dressed in their combat gear for the next deployment. Saintess, we have no new news to report. The enemy ritual site and camp have been abandoned, it's like they all just dropped everything and left. I suggest we exercise caution when approaching. Emily, the older of the twins, reports to me quickly and concisely. Her sister Madeline couldn't be more different, but they get along very well. We are ready to deploy at your command, we will report any changes via holo communicator. I nod my head thankfully and leave them to the little bit of free time they have. They are the youngest of us, not even 18 yet. War calls for the capable, and that usually disregards age. Now is a good time to head out towards the ritual site and see what happened. I make my way to the enter of camp and take a deep breath. Everyone report at the center of camp. We are leaving for the ritual site. The small strike group we have all get here within the minute of my call throughout camp. Soon every one of us is present and I can start the final meeting. I want you all to be prepared for the worst, the reports we have gotten are very suspicious and worrying. Make sure to watch each other's back, and never stray from the group. This mission gives me a bad feeling and I want to get home in one piece, so let's get a move on and take care of business. I lead the group out of the camp and begin to make our way towards the enemy. It's going to take about an hour to get there, but that won't take long. We all start traveling at high speeds and staying on high alert. This time frame will give me time to go over known information. First and most worrying is the sudden abandonment of the camp and ritual site. What could have caused monsters to retreat like that? Was it a stronger creature in the area? Maybe it was an emergency on a different front we are fighting. As I'm traveling, I feel a strange and foreboding feeling in my body. It's as if we are heading towards something of incredible power and we don't even know it. My magic sensing abilities are pretty good, and I don't feel anything. I look behind me and my strike team has the same look I do. Whatever scared off the monsters is powerful. My instincts are rarely wrong about these sorts of things, and my team feels the same way. I know you can all feel that, just be ready to run if need be. We could end up fighting something far stronger than expected. I say some words to my group and they all nod. I'm glad that we are all level-headed, I'm worried about Jasmine though. She looks more scared and worried than the rest of us. We travel closer and closer and the feeling I have gets worse and worse. I hold up my hand as I stop and everyone does the same. Something isn't right. Everyone, if you wish to turn back, now is the time. Anyone who wants to continue can follow me. I watch only a few of the team leave, and I don't blame them one bit. This doesn't feel right in the slightest. Creature Man and Ghost Zero are still with me, along with Jasmine. I'm sure the twin scouts are following from a distance as well. We get moving again. After about 30 minutes we make it to the ritual site. Everything is abandoned like the twins said. I look around the area and the feeling is oppressive, it makes it hard to breathe. I'm shocked to hear a deep voice, full of power and wisdom. Along with vast age. Seems the church has decided to investigate anyways. I look in the direction of the voice and peer into the woods. I see glowing red eyes stare back at me. I watch as the creature stands and the giant wolf's head raises above the trees. I'm surprised that the church would send its strongest on such a mission, well, war calls for desperate measures. The giant wolf walks out of the trees and into view of all of us. His runic tattoos on his fur are of an ancient language that I cannot comprehend. I immediately lower my head in respect, as do all the other strike team members. Forgive us, Fenrir, we didn't know you were here or even interested in helping. He squints his eyes dangerously at me. A shiver goes up my spine, and I sink into myself. I've never felt so insignificant in my life, so this is the power of a deity. We only came here to stop the summoning ritual, I'm so sorry if we offended you in any way. I try to sound as sincere as possible, but my voice just shakes in fear the longer he peers at me. He walks all the way up to me and casts a shadow over my body. I look up and see his red eyes staring down at me. So it would seem Muriel's chosen. So it would seem. I can't move a single part of my body anymore. A pressure suddenly envelopes me and I'm shoved to the ground by pure raw power. I can't lift my body off the ground, I'm being crushed so hard I'm making a slight indent into the ground. I was wondering how Uriel's chosen would stack up to my power compared to Michael's son. While his angelic blood helped him, he could stand and walk in my presence. I even made a friend in the young man. I can't help my shock at hearing this, I can hardly breathe anymore. Suddenly the pressure stops and I'm able to breathe again. I look up at Fenrir and see him waiting for me to stand, looks like he wants to talk. Chapter 109, The Ritual 2. I stand up and dust off my armor, many of my comrades also do the same thing. He is waiting patiently for us to get ready, I wonder what he is doing so far from the fairy kingdom. Mighty Fenrir, if you don't mind me asking, why are you so far from the fairy kingdom? I wouldn't expect to find you all the way out here. I try to sound confident and respectful, but instead I sound timid and scared. He looks at me harder than before, I don't know why everything is turning out like this. I can't help feeling like this shouldn't be happening. I feel him use inspect on me to see my abilities and skills. I'm going to be honest, I feel completely vulnerable as he sees my information. His fur waves in the air even though there is no wind, I can't fully comprehend his power. The more I try and compose myself, the worse I feel. I guess this is what it feels like to be totally helpless. You are strong for a human, and while you received a blessing from Muriel at birth, it's obvious where your ceiling is. As to your question, what makes you think I'm bound to the fairy kingdom? While they are my allies and I'll fight for them, I'm still free to do whatever I want. It is foolish of you to presume otherwise. Perhaps I should personally visit the holy city and remind them of who I am. I feel doom and despair as I hear those words. If Fenrir attacks the holy city, then this war and humanity would be lost. I can't let this happen, even though I'm powerless against him. I still have to do something. I try to stop my body from shaking, and while my entire focus is on Fenrir, I can't help my questions about the sun entering my mind. Please, I beg of you, don't attack the holy city. Innocent people live there and we are trying to win a war. I sound pathetic. If I'm to learn something from this, it's to not overestimate my own power. A being like Fenrir can breathe in my direction and I'd die if he so wished. He looks at me with understanding and slight surprise. I'm glad I could do something positive. If you wish for us to leave, then we will. We only came to see what happened to the monsters here and try to gather information. I hope that our intentions reach Fenrir. If we knew he took care of things here, then we wouldn't have come in the first place. He takes a slight sigh and actually takes a seat. He looks over us individually, and from the looks of my group's faces he is inspecting them all. I have never known the church to have people willing to show humility. During my time they were not the most pleasant of people to be around. Always controlling and plotting. If you knew the truths of some of your forefathers, I'm positive you would leave the church. What the hell is he talking about? The Church of Light has always stood for the good and just. All of the people who came before are regarded as heroes. Most of what we know and have learned is from the legacy our predecessors left behind. I refuse to believe what he is saying. If it is, then the church is a fraud. Alex and I have always been on the same side, and always had the same goals. He must not know of this either. If he did, he would have told me. I want to ask what he means, but I'm too afraid. Not because he could get angry, but because I don't want to know the truth. Some things are better left forgotten, and this is one of those things. I will not stop you from searching this place for clues. However, do not presume to know my history or the church's. There are many things that you and your church do not know. They have long been forgotten to time, and documents waste away and crumble. If you do search for the truth of my words, you will need to leave the church before you do. I don't know why, but his words terrify me. They are a puzzle or clue to what he was implying. I turn my head and the rest understand that they should search. I don't know how long Fenrir will tolerate us for. I begin to search as well, and while I do come across useful information, there is nothing here that is groundbreaking. Saintess Lucy. When are we leaving this place? I feel nervous with him watching us. Jasmine suddenly speaks to me, and I can understand her wanting to leave. This place isn't one I wish to stay long, along with Fenrir watching. I know that he is an ally with the fairy kingdom, but he also has vital information. He knows the true identity of the sun, and while I'm tempted to ask, I'm afraid of what he'll do. He might protect him, and if I word it wrong he might even kill us. That isn't something I can risk. We spend a few hours searching every nook and cranny of this place, and we have ended up finding valuable information. Mainly being the names of powerful leaders and future targets, this has turned out to be a fruitful journey. I look over to Fenrir and he hasn't moved an inch. Like a statue, all he has done is watch us. I give the signal for the group to leave and they quickly do, and I'm about to leave as I hear a voice. I'm impressed you held out so long about asking me. You were even going to leave. You are an example of what the church should be. You know most women are pushy, and loud. As well as incredibly annoying, but you are not. A wise woman is rare to encounter, but who knows, it's been a couple millennia since I was last talking to a female human. Fenrir begins to talk, and while he gives me a compliment, I can also hear him trying to tempt me with the knowledge he has. I have to try my hardest to resist asking, but I can't stop it from bubbling out. I know it's probably going to kill me, but may I know the sun's identity, please? I'm a fool for asking, but I have to try. I close my eyes waiting to be killed, but nothing comes. Instead I just hear a chuckle, and that chuckle soon turns into a laugh. I feel like I'm being mocked right now, and while I hate, there is nothing I can do about it. All I can do is listen to the deity laugh. He stands up and looks at me. He then turns around and prepares to jump. He turns his head back towards me one last time. If he wants to be found, then he will. Sometimes letting a person come to you instead is a good thing. Offering rewards and riches shows the true nature of the human soul, and that isn't something he wants any part of. He leaps from the ground hard as I'm almost blown back. His words are cryptic, and true. Fenrir thinks we have been doing this all wrong, and while I wouldn't agree, it makes sense. Perhaps talking to Alex about other methods is a good idea. I take a breath to calm myself and make my way back to our camp. It takes the same amount of time going back. By the time I make it, the group is sitting around the campfire. The ones that went with me are talking to the ones that came back. There is a mix of many emotions on the faces of the people here, and most are pale. Experiencing that kind of power isn't something a person should be subjected to. I want to get out of this place as fast as I can. I go to my private tent and turn on my holo communicator. I see Alex on the other side. I bring good news, and strange news. He raises his head in curiosity. I tell him about everything we did at the camp, including Fenrir. I watch the look on his face change and I can't help feeling sorry since he is the one speaking to the council. That's all I have to report. Once I get back to the holy city we can go over the information we found. Make sure the rulers and coalition know about this. He nods his head and turns off the call. I make my way to my cot and just lay on it. This has been way more stressful than I could have imagined. I feel like just sleeping for a couple hours, and then leaving this place. I think the others can agree resting for a little bit would be a good idea. I take my sheathed sword and throw it onto the table so I don't have to get up. I close my eyes and I'm falling asleep fast. This isn't something I normally do. However, I need it. I fall into a deep sleep, and enjoy the few hours I get. Chapter 110, Finding My Family. I've been flying for a while now and I'm enjoying the view of the brilliant night sky. Earth never had such a view, and while I miss my old home I can't help being grateful for this new life. While it's much harder, in the end this world feels alive. While we lost our newly acquired fortune, it leaves no sour taste in my mouth. Right now money means nothing to the players, only how strong you are and how good your gear is. I'm sure that when and if players get back to their continents, gold will become very important, but now it isn't. I'm about 10 minutes out from the marker, and I feel happiness at the fact I'll get to see my family again. I'm contemplating if I should tell them my secret or not, if they know it could put them in danger. I don't want them to get hurt or captured because of me. I'd never forgive myself if that happened. A lot of things are still new, and with the recent battles it's okay to assume that the system has other things planned out too. If it didn't, then what was the point of testing us? Why do something like this? It's outside of my comprehension. Knowing the thoughts and motives of the system AI is not something I'm capable of. If anyone had any insight on what's going on with the system, it would be Jericho and Xander, not like we know where these guys are. If they were smart, they would stay hidden, and with humanity's power base and infrastructure destroyed, no world leaders are stepping forward. That means people won't listen to them when they come forward, or they have perished. I'm sure they are alive somewhere. You can count on the governments of the world to be prepared for a situation like this. It makes sense why the government was helping JNX, so that means high-ranking officials have made it. Possibly a majority of our leaders, but that presents a problem. They will more than likely try to rebuild the government, and that will draw lots of attention. In the end, it's really up to who is stronger, because I'm sure there are millions of strong players not wanting to go back to that life. Having to obey the laws of superiors such as the government, in a way we have been freed from everything that bound us before. I take a deep breath as I do multiple spins in the air, enjoying the wind on my shirtless body. It's a warm night and perfect for this. Thinking about all this makes me wonder if they will be coming after me as well. If the old leaders had someone like me on their side, they would have much more confidence. All the more reason to stay hidden. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a major conflict in the future about this specific thing. In this type of world, people with power can be very bad, and while there is normally a balance, evil has a bigger impact on things than good does, and that is what could happen to us. I think establishing some ground rules would be a good idea. However, that won't stop some player killers might start experimenting soon. The last thing we need is to worry about the ones who came here with us stabbing us in the back. I wonder if others will start to prepare for this. I wouldn't be surprised if the guild leaders or party leaders helped with this. In the end, it's just a way to recruit others into the party or guild by protecting them, but emotional blackmail shouldn't be encouraged. I lean my body down slightly and dip under the clouds. I look ahead and see nothing. Still too far out, but I should slow down and make a cautious approach. I wouldn't be surprised if players are outside the city trying to level up. Getting spotted by one of them is something I'm going to avoid. I can make an approach on foot from here. It will take me some time to get there now that I'm not flying at 430 miles per hour, should be a little under an hour running. I approach the ground fast and slow down by flapping my wings in the other direction. I come to a nice stop and land on my feet. I toggle my wings off and start heading west. As Sarah is on the way to his family, others are discussing what he was thinking about. His theory that many world leaders and government officials made it to Ancient's world is true, and they are communicating with each other since they were all located in the same space when the collision happened. In fact, they were discussing what to do with Jericho and Xander once the collision was over. Too bad it happened. The leader and chief speaker for the UN is leading this meeting. The leader of the Swiss Confederacy is the one leading this discussion. I have spoken for many years, but I can't help wondering if I'm not the man this time. Switzerland is known for its neutrality, and that's why I'm here leading and speaking this conference. As Marcel Polium, I have to protect my reputation and my country's. I look out across the hidden meeting hall we have made. We are isolated from the rest of the players. We don't have any contact and we are too weak to move to a city on our own, so we are stuck here talking. While this would be good in normal circumstances, this is the opposite of good right now. No one in this room actually played the game, we only made characters like JNX said. I suppose I should start discussions first, and address the biggest problem in the room. I can see the tired faces of my colleges and allies. This has been hard on all of us. Most have a family and we don't know where they are in Ancient's world, or should we call it Gaia? I swear if I ever get my hand on Jericho and Xander, I need to focus. There are no cities in sight, and with that we are still stuck here with the little bit of security we have. Many of the guards have been out leveling so we can move on from this place. However, I propose that we begin training as well. We are at the bottom of the food chain here on Gaia, and that means once communication and order is restored we'll have to find a way to restore power. Many get what I'm saying. This isn't something I like to talk about, but if we don't have control of our people then we might as well give up on the old ways. As this meeting is happening there are others happening all over Ancient's world, but they are interrupted by an announcement from the system. Worldwide announcement, dungeons will be arriving in 12 hours time. A dungeon will spawn in the center of every player city. These dungeons will be of great help to you so don't waste any time with them. If you search outside the city you might find others. Here's a hint. Make sure you search every nook and cranny of the dungeons. You never know what you could find. All the players react differently when this announcement rings out. Veterans of dungeon diving are excited, while the newer players feel like they got the shaft. Sarah is quickly approaching the marker the system gave him. I look past the trees every couple seconds and I can see the city in the distance. Some parts of it look like home, and it has the same look of all the other cities. It's full of overgrowth and old-looking buildings. My marker is one of the buildings by the looks of it. I stop running as I enter the city and begin to walk. I look around and there are probably millions of players, either on the streets or in the buildings. I guess Mom and Dad got a pretty good spot. I walk the streets and see many injured bodies the closer I get to the marker. Looks like I heal much faster, and while dying and coming back is an idea. I'm sure there are unwanted effects in the process of resurrection. I eventually make it to the marker and I'm looking at a huge skyscraper. Many injured players are here. I can deduce that my family is injured. I got to go room by room searching for them. So might as well get a start on it. As I walk by rooms and search them I hear conversations about the announcement. Many are scared since they haven't even finished healing yet, and I don't blame them. We don't know how these dungeons will work, they could be different from what we're used to. It takes time to clear floor by floor, being diligent is hard. I reach a very high floor with no luck so far, I have to be getting close. I search room by room, and I come to the one at the end of this hallway. I look in and see my father and sister wrapped in bandages. I don't know why, but I have a huge spike of anger and rage, the entire area unconsciously rumbles. I quickly put a lid on it realizing what I'm going, this however draws everyone's attention to the door. I try and speak some words of hello, but I'm quickly hugged and squeezed by a very young-looking mom. I can't believe my sweet pumpkin pie is alive. I was so scared. She just squeezes harder and cries. I just wrap my arms around her and hug my mom. I'm glad they are okay. Well, almost okay.